Half in the bag. I love to watch movies in my underwear. Oh, it's not a touchscreen.
And it's not on.
Lightning fast VCR repair. How can I help you? Yes, this is. What? Mr. Plinkett is dead?
What?
Is dead wrong? Your cake prices aren't cheap. I'll look elsewhere. Good day, sir.
Mike, why would you do that? For a second, I had my hopes up that this nightmare was over, that I could tell my friends and family that my fiancé was dead and that I was only marrying him for the money, and definitely not for elderly lusts.
I'm sorry, Jay. I can see how me shouting Mr. Plinkett is dead may have been misleading. However, it was just the start of my sentence. I simply ran out of breath. You see, Mr. Plinkett referred me to this cake company, and he said that they had cheap cakes. I asked for a quote for a cake for 100 people, and they quoted me a price in excess of $20. That's ridiculous. I could get cheaper cakes made in Rwanda.
Why are we getting a cake at all? Why are we inviting people? I'm starting to get the feeling that you're doing all of this just to embarrass me.
Hey, speaking of embarrassing, the elderly filmmaker Ridley Scott has a new film. He made it at the senior citizens home in the rec room.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, it's called Alien Covenant, and it's a film about an alien covenant. I believe. I haven't seen it yet. Would you like to go watch this film and then talk about how terrible it was?
I'd love to do anything that would take my mind off of this fucking wedding.
Yeah, I would be dreading that day too. I would also dread going to see Alien Covenant. But let's do it anyways. Come on.
Paris, please, open up!
I can't do that. Infection.
Finally, someone explained what the black goo was with one simple sentence. Thanks, David. Hi, and welcome to Alien Covenant, the new film from elderly director Ridley Scott. They were going to let Neil Blomkamp direct Alien movies, but then Ridley Scott wanted to redeem himself after no one liked Prometheus. Now he made this, and it was less weird and had things people know in it, like an alien on a spaceship. So now people like him again and forgive him for letting Damon Lindelof write a script. Look out, it's a xenomorph. Oh, it's time now to talk about Alien Covenant. Jay, what are your initial thoughts on Alien Covenant?
There was a part in Prometheus that I really had a problem with, where when they're first investigating the caves, and they're like, oh, this is breathable atmosphere, and so everyone like fucking immediately takes their helmets off, and you're like, you don't know anything else about it other than the air is breathable. Why would you do that? In this movie, they don't even bother with helmets.
I rewatched Prometheus.
As did I.
Last night, actually, in preparation for this. And I think I liked it a little bit more than when I first saw it, because I kind of understood what they were going for a little better. And,
yeah, well, that's the thing, is I never felt like it deserved how much shit it got. It has lots of problems, but at least it felt like it was about something, and that's more than I can say for this movie.
In a weird way, it's a remake of Alien.
Well, every Alien sequel is a remake of Alien, basically.
I know that, but in a we have to fix what we did with Prometheus way, because you have, well, I don't want to get into spoilers, but, shit.
Let's just get into spoilers. Fuck it.
Get into spoilers, everybody, because you have an android that goes nuts, and they blow it out of an airlock at the end.
Well, and going into this one, because people disliked Prometheus so much, I was curious, like, is this going to be, how much of a sequel to Prometheus is this going to be? Is it going to be more of just like a prequel to Alien? And it's kind of both. It is a pretty direct sequel to Prometheus on a literal story level, in that there is a continuation of the events that happen at the end of Prometheus, but it couldn't be farther from it in like a thematic level. They completely abandoned all that shit. If we're in spoilers, like the end of Prometheus, like Shaw's gonna go off and find the creators and find out why they want to kill us.
And I'm still searching.
Oh, she died off screen.
I disagree.
We're abandoning that.
I disagree a little because they kept all their, as you called them, heady themes.
Attempts at heady themes.
Well, no, it's like, here's exactly what happened. Prometheus was written by people who didn't quite know what they were doing with the story. They had some ideas, they put it all out there, and then it's like, yeah, and then it fell apart. This is smarter people trying to fix that as best as they can.
Yeah.
Because they established the creator and father-son thing with who's the actor that plays old man Goldmember in
Guy Pearce.
Guy Pearce.
Are you saying in Prometheus he looks like Goldmember?
Yes. Guy Pearce comes back as younger Goldmember.
Yes.
And is in this film, and so you have that opening with the David statue, and he's the father, and he's like, "You're my creator." There's a creator thing. There's lots of biblical references. In the first one, Shaw was the religious person who still had the cross, and
she chooses to believe, is what she says.
There's the themes of faith. Yeah. In this one, they slap it on the captain. You got the faith. For no reason, you got the faith, because we gotta carry that theme over. Yeah. And then there's lots of little very subtle and some not so subtle biblical references. So they kind of put all that in, and
they all feel very surface level, though. Like in Prometheus, that's kind of what the movie's about. This one, it feels like those elements are sort of put on top of a pretty generic Alien remake.
It's an echo from Prometheus that has carried over, and it sort of fades into blowing out the airlock at the end.
They're slowly whittling it down,
yes.
And underneath is the Alien movie.
Right, and to get to the end, which is get an alien back aboard the spaceship, and it takes a long time to get there.
Yes.
In fact, it feels like a completely different movie at the last 25 minutes.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is the last 20 minutes of the movie is the alien action that I guess people want. Those last 20 minutes of the movie are like the entirety of the original Alien. The original Alien really takes its time, and it's slow, and it has tension, and things build. And this movie, all the Alien stuff in this movie I thought sucked. There's no tension. It's not particularly well executed. It's just sort of, there's the alien, he's running around, and they just rush through it all.
I thought Prometheus was a mess, but I really, in hindsight, appreciate the attempt to do something different. They didn't dig up Sigourney Weaver out of the crypt and throw her in front of the camera like you do with like Indiana Jones and all these like Harrison Ford, Star Wars, bring back Han Solo, and dust everybody off and put them in front of the camera. They didn't do that with Sigourney Weaver. They made totally new characters. Yeah. Yes, they're doing the backstory and the prequel thing and whatever.
That's the weakest stuff in the movie, is that it has ties to Alien at all.
And so Prometheus goes the entire movie without seeing an alien proper. Right. And the weird blue guys, and they follow all that stuff. And then I think, is it post-credit or?
Not post-credit, but it's like the story's over, we fade to black, and then we fade back up, and there's the alien.
An alien thing.
A proto-alien.
Proto-alien has been born from a giant squid raping a giant blue man.
Yes.
And then you're like, okay, I don't know how that happened, but it happened. I guess is the alien species now born? No.
No, because it's not quite an alien. It's not quite a xenomorph.
No, the xenomorph has not been made yet. So I thought everything in this was pretty good up until they said we have to have a xenomorph on a spaceship. The Michael Fassbender David robot from Prometheus, he had his head put back on by Shaw, sewed his head back on. But apparently in the process of putting his head back on, his brain went nuts. I think just his particular model of robot was allowed to expand and create things. Remember the opening when he's like, Guy Pearce is teaching him how to play the piano or telling him, you have to be inspired, you have to do things, you have to create. Yeah. Then they kind of took that away out of the robots because people thought they were too creepy. And so that is the main plot thread, is that David ends up going back to the Prometheus planet with the Blue Men and wipes out their entire civilization with the black goo for no reason at all, other than he's insane or he wants to find out how to create life himself.
Yeah, well, he keeps, this movie, he keeps talking about how he's trying to create the perfect organism or whatever. So that's, I guess, his motivation, but it doesn't explain why he decides to kill all the engineers. The movie answers one of our questions from our talking about Prometheus video, which is it turns out David was a secret asshole.
Yes. I think he wiped out all the engineers because if they got landed on the planet, they would just come and rip his head off again.
I just got this reattached.
Yeah, and they would beat elderly Guy Pearce with his head. And that to me was the most interesting stuff, was that this robot has had a decade on this planet.
Yeah.
And he's futzing around. The black goo's out there. The black goo's back. It's floating around.
And what is the black goo?
Well, it's exactly what we thought it was, which is why it was so confusing. Michael Fassbender tells us that it's both a weapon and a tool of creation. So when people got it in them, when he put the drip in the guy's drink,
yeah,
and Holloway in the first one, and he turned into Monster Man, it just killed him. And then the other guy, it turned into Monster Man too. But once it was in his ejaculate inside Shaw, it turned into a baby.
Right. It created a little squid monster.
Yeah, and I think in Prometheus they show little worms touch the black goo. They showed like
oh yeah, there's worms on the soil,
and those become
the tentacle
things.
creature. Yeah.
So it's like it could either do something or turn you into the toxic waste man from RoboCop. It'll do one of the two things.
Well,
and so it's like, thank you for being clear about that.
Yeah, we still don't know where it came from, but I guess whatever.
The fucking Blue Men group created it, Jay.
Did they create it? I guess they engineered it?
They engineered it.
Okay.
Because remember when in the opening Prometheus, the one guy, he ate it. He drank it out of a little ceremonial cup and threw himself off of a cliff.
And he falls into
and then he
waterfall.
dissolves, and then they show in detail, DNA.
Life being created, all of Earth's life being created.
And that was the premise of Prometheus, was that blue mans all over the galaxy, they went and populated planets, but for some reason at the end of Prometheus, they said, we got to take all this black goo back to Earth and use it again to wipe out the population because we messed up. And then Shaw wanted to find out why they messed up.
Well, she wanted to find, what did we do that made him want to kill us?
Yes.
That was the lead-in, and that's the thing with Prometheus. That whole movie feels like a setup for the next movie.
We will never find out why they wanted to go back, because David exterminated the entire population.
Yeah. Would that be considered retconning? They retconned the story of Prometheus. And that's my problem with, and I complained about this with Prometheus, and it continues with this, which is that there's all these convoluted, biological, this mixes with this and it creates this, but then if that new creation mixes with this, it creates this, and blah, blah, blah. All this to get us to an alien, to a xenomorph from Alien. They allude to it at the end of Prometheus, and then in this movie, David's like, I was experimenting on Shaw, and I created this thing, and he's trying all these different experiments. And then he just goes into a back room in this cave, and he's like, and here's alien eggs I made. And you're like, but what about the queen? Yeah. So all this setup to explain where the xenomorph came from, and we really don't even get it. And that leads to the bigger problem, which is, who cares where the xenomorph came from? The original Alien, I don't know if we mentioned this in our Prometheus video, I don't even remember, but the original movie, Alien, the whole thing is that the whole reason it's scary is because it's about the fear of the unknown. It's about the fear of something alien. The title has multiple meanings. We don't know where it came from. It doesn't matter. That's what makes it creepy.
It's the problem with the simple and effective premise. It's Jaws, it's Halloween, it's movies like that where it works as a simple premise, but it does not have or need the room for expansion.
Right.
We don't need to know more about Michael Myers, or we don't need a Jaws 2 or a Jaws 3, 3D, or a Jaws 4 or a Jaws 5.
What happened here?
Yeah, that's the thing. The short-haired woman, who is essentially the protagonist, I don't even know what her name is. Daniels? Is that her character's name? She has so little going on. She was married, or at least in a relationship with James Franco, who's in the movie for 2 seconds. With Shaw, her whole thing is she's obsessed with finding out about who created us because she can't create life herself. She can't have a baby. So that's sort of her motivation for everything. So there's something there.
Yeah.
There's nothing to any of these people in this movie.
Well, Danny McBride wore a cowboy hat.
His name was Tennessee because remember Dallas? There's a character named Dallas. So now we got a character named Tennessee.
The spaceship stuff, all the crew, like here's all the different kinds of crew members.
It just felt like been there, done that.
Yes, it felt like been there, done that. What I really liked, I would have liked the entire movie if it was just Michael Fassbender kissing himself.
Teaching himself to play the flute.
Yeah, that stuff was
That was the
very
stuff I
interesting.
liked. I like, and Michael Fassbender is like Prometheus. He's the best part of this movie.
Yeah, the two types of robots that are dramatically different, and the one that's a little unhinged and doing weird things, and he's very advanced. I noticed how it seemed like Michael Fassbender was doing Lance Henriksen impression a little bit.
Oh, okay. I can see that.
Kind of talking like this.
Yeah.
So it seemed like that's an early tweak of the model, even though that character probably wasn't born yet. But the guy, or the human version, Lance Henriksen, appears in Alien 3.
Although he also appears in Alien vs. Predator somehow, which takes place in present time.
What?
It's almost like this franchise is a giant mess.
Oh, is it? Remember that? Wasn't that the sexy shower scene bizarre?
Oh, God.
Why was that in the movie?
Because it's a scene that you can put in the trailer.
It turned into like a cheap B-movie, horror movie.
Yeah, I was thinking of like a Friday the 13th movie or
so
something.
Screaming in the shower with blood, and then
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna get you in the shower. Like, what?
Yep.
Then you have these like heady religious themes, and then it cuts to like Jack Frost stabbing the girl in the shower. Really? Yeah, all that stuff with Fassbender and the planet, and it felt very Star Trek-y. And I was like, oh, an alien. Oh, there's an alien. I forgot.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want.
There's a pretty badass robot fight. The two Michael Fassbenders fighting each other was a good scene.
Yeah, so you got all those like the two Fassbenders. I felt the Cain and Abel vibe, like the lots of religious references.
Yeah.
He references Milton by saying it's better to rule in hell than to serve in heaven, which was from what's the original title of the film.
But yeah, I guess at one point this movie was called Alien Paradise Lost, which is an awful title, and I'm glad they changed it.
What happened here?
Yeah, and then like I don't know if you noticed, like one of the little alien things that he had like made was like on a cross.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
They're like, yeah, there's some good stuff in there. his drawings look like little Da Vinci artworks, like it's very technical. Yeah, that ending where, I want to say Shaw, our new female heroine, apparently like empowered female warriors in space, they're a dime a dozen. Ripley, you're nothing special anymore. There's just always one of you on a spaceship. Just one of you. There's nothing good about you.
I think the message of the movie is if you want to survive out in space and you're female, make sure you have short hair.
Yeah, I kept thinking back to the first Alien and how like quaint and dated it must feel compared to like the technology they can do today.
Oh, sure.
Chest bursting scene and goes.
Oh, the shot in Alien, the happy birthday surprise shot.
Yes. That versus.
Yeah.
Like how fast and deadly it is in this.
Yeah. Did you feel? Well, here's a better question. Did you feel any tension whatsoever during any of the alien stuff in this movie?
The movie had me for a minute when that first guy who got sick went back, and they had him and the two women were on the little lander.
Oh,
and they
sure.
had to get him in the quarantine room, and he was like, gross things were happening to him. Then
Yeah.
there was like some kind of.
Yeah, well, yeah, that stuff was pretty good. And the movie, like some of the gore in this, it was kind of shocking. It was pretty
Yeah.
grisly, which was nice.
It felt like two movies that collided. It feels like a movie that's a perfect bridge between like trying to do weird god stuff with Prometheus and let's get back to thousands of chest bursting aliens and people shooting at them.
Yeah.
It felt like a bridge from that to that, because this ends with Spoilers, I guess.
Spoilers.
Don't watch our videos anymore. This ends with David in control of the ship. He has 2,000 people in cryosleep and a couple of facehugger eggs. Yeah. And you know he's just going to experiment like crazy.
Yeah.
And he has 7 years to do it before they get to planet Uba Juba. The next film will be aliens galore, CG classic xenomorphs galore on a colony, space colony. They'll all wake up, they won't remember what happened, and they'll start bursting at the seams. And aliens will be everywhere, and it'll be a repeat of Aliens. They'll be, they're in the colony now. Yeah, some shit like that'll happen. You now finally have the seed that's planted that can spawn all the xenomorphs and go at it. No more half measures, no more little gray ones or little blue ones or weird ones that don't quite look like the xenomorph. Get the xenomorph back.
Yeah.
This is what the guys in the suits said. The 20th Century Fox office. Get the xenomorphs back. Holy
The interesting thing about the original, I'll say the original 4 Alien movies, is that they all are essentially the same movie, but what differentiates them is the filmmaker behind it. Each one feels like a completely different movie, even though story-wise they're all basically the same thing. And now we just get like Ridley Scott made another Alien movie.
They're good-looking movies. They have great effects, great sets.
Sure, but there's no tension, which is important when you're making an Alien movie.
I like that premise that
Yeah.
that robot is trying to play God, essentially. And they could have done something where Shaw birthed a queen. Maybe she did. They showed her corpse.
I guess that's possible.
But that could have happened during the course of this movie, where she's like, he's got her tied up in the back room or something, and she's like about to give birth to a queen, and then she does.
Yeah.
And then, he's working on that in the background, making the eggs and stuff, while the people are just hanging out at Blue Guy City, resting and relaxing, and going tanning and gambling and going dancing.
Sounds like a wonderful planet.
Yeah. There was a whole other side of the planet. It was like Atlantic City for big blue men. It wasn't all just boring stone, Jay. So you guys, come on to the planet, just rest, fix your spaceship. Give me about a week or so. I'm gonna be in this cave doing some weird shit. And then when I'm done, everybody come at the cave and check out these eggs I made. That going on in the background with Shock would have been kind of cool. I don't know. This movie's a lot to digest. And I might be reactionary a little, because there were a lot of things I really liked, but then it has that movies have that studio mentality now. All of them, you gotta have the thing that people know, and I'm getting tired of it. I just wanted a story about a robot that experiments with weird biological life forms.
That's the biggest disappointment with this movie is, there is like a kernel of an interesting concept at its core, but it's focusing on the wrong things. The thing is, there was a split second when we see the xenomorph, where I was like, because I like that creature. As a design, I think it's cool. And I was like, oh, it'll be kind of neat to see some more xenomorph stuff, because I like, as a movie monster, I like it. But then I just thought it was all handled so flat. There was no, like I said, no tension to any of it.
Very rushed.
It was rushed, and there's no build up, because the movie's almost over. So just sort of things happen. There was no excitement at the end when they're trying to push it out of the ship. I just didn't care.
Yeah.
So.
Because it felt tacked on, because it was.
Yeah. The cool, interesting premise felt sort of pushed to the side to focus on the alien stuff, and the alien stuff didn't work.
I thought there was enough of the David plot to keep the movie floating on the water, as opposed to sinking. You know what I mean? The alien stuff, ironically, in an alien movie, was what was dragging it down.
Yeah.
Seal all inner doors.
Are there any additional ammo on board?
So, Mike, would you recommend Alien Covenant?
It's hard to say. I always have a little caveat. I wouldn't recommend it to Grandma, but if you love the Xenomorph, go watch it. It's a fine, okay film. Yeah. Fuck it, no. Go watch something different.
Yeah.
Just go watch a movie you find in your basement. It's in a VHS tape that has Dolly Parton in it and Wayne Newton.
What are you talking about?
It's rodeo time with Dolly Parton. Just go watch that. Just pop it in a VCR and watch that. Kenny Rogers in a Western? What's this? I never heard of this. Just go watch that. Oh, I forgot to ask you. Do you want to recommend the film to anybody? You probably don't.
No.
You're such a snob.
That's not true.
What about...
It's not. That's the thing, is this isn't even like a terrible movie or anything. I'm just so tired of it. Like, they're running around hallways again. It just had a real case of like, been there, done that, where I just didn't care.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
More Michael Fassbender. I want to see a whole movie about him doing weird experiments.
It's called Shame. Well, Jay, it's time to fix more VCRs.
Remember that?
Let's talk about tired plot lines. Alien Covenant felt refreshing compared to this. I have to go to sleep now. Okay, bye.